this meeting to order. This is the City of Southfield regular meeting for the Planning Commission, July 28th, 2021, conducted via WebEx teleconference. Let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And we have a roll call, please.
Yes, sir. Mr. Culpepper.
Here.
Mr. Griffiths.
Here.
Mr. Huntington.
Present.
Mr. Martin. Mr. Martin, it appears that you're muted. We'll come back to you. Miss Mia.
Present. Can you hear me?
Yep. Dr. Stevens Gunn. I'm not seeing on. Mr. Willis.
Here.
And come back around to Mr. Martin. Okay, it appears that he might still have some audio issues, but Mr. Chairman, you do have a quorum to conduct business this evening.
Thank you. I have a motion to approve the agenda.
Through the chair, this is Commissioner Rob Willis. I move to approve the agenda for Planning Commission dated July 28, 2021.
This is Commissioner Mia. I'd like to second that motion.
Okay, thank you. Got a motion to approve the agenda by Commissioner Willis, seconded by Commissioner Mia. And we have a roll call vote on that one, please.
Yes, sir. Mr. Culpepper.
Yes.
Mr. Huntington.
Yes.
Mr. Martin. Miss Mia.
Yes.
And Dr. Stevens Gunn still is not on. Mr. Willis.
Yes.
And Mr. Griffiths.
Yes.
All right, Mr. Chairman, you have an approval of your agenda for this evening.
Okay. Do we have any announcements or communications?
None at this time, sir.
Okay. On to the public hearings. Item number 1 is PSLU 21-0004.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you recall, at our meeting a couple of weeks ago, the petitioner did not show up for the meeting, so we were not able to have a conversation or actually present this case. So what the Planning Department's recommendation this evening for this particular item is to postpone this item to your August 25th Planning Commission regular meeting. I did have a conversation with the petitioner. He will be able to make the August meetings. So again, that's the recommendation this evening, to postpone to a date certain. That be your August 25th, 2021 Planning Commission regular meeting. I mean, we do need a motion and a second on that.
To the chair, this is Commissioner Culpepper.
Yes.
I move that we postpone PSLU 21-004 to a date certain, August 25th, 2021.
This is Commissioner
Support,
Willis.
Commissioner Huntington.
I support.
Okay, we got a motion to postpone to the date certain by Commissioner Culpepper and supported by Commissioner Willis. They have a roll call vote.
Yes, sir. Mr. Huntington.
Yes.
Mr. Martin is still not able to get on. Miss Mia.
Yes.
Mr. Willis.
Yes.
Mr. Culpepper.
Yes.
And Mr. Griffiths.
Yes.
All right, Mr. Chairman, you do have a postponement for PSLU 21-0004 to your August 25th, 2021 regular meeting.
Okay, thank you. Next item for public hearings is PSV 21-0001.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this is the request from Mark Perry, who is representing the Armenian Apostolic Society. The property is located at 22001 Northwestern Highway. We are on the east side of Southfield Road, just north of Winora. The request is to vacate 40 feet wide Cardiff Place right-of-way adjacent to and north of lot 557 and a 20-foot wide public alley adjacent to and east of lots 456 through 457, inclusive of Magnolia number 1 subdivision. You can see the area that is shown in red is the area in which the Apostolic Society is located. It does contain a church and then the Manugian School. This is a close-up of the properties itself. You can see the school and the church in red. And then there is also a small piece of property that the church also owns that is shown there in orange. Kind of gives you existing conditions that are within the particular area. This image shows existing conditions. This is actually the driveway, and I'll back up. This is actually the driveway that's within the orange area here. And then the area in blue is actually the vacation request itself. As I noted, it contains a 40-foot wide Cardiff Place right-of-way that is actually the part on the north side, and then a 20-foot wide alley that goes north and south between the two pieces of property that the church owns. So that is the request for this evening, is to actually vacate these particular properties. What will happen should the Planning Commission recommend the alley vacation and the council approve it? Half of the Cardiff Place will go north and half of it will go south, and then half of the alley will go east and half of it will go west. And what that ends up making is this will still be two pieces of property. So the petitioner will be required to join these two pieces through a lot combination through our assessing department. So say part one of this would be to actually get the vacation for Cardiff Place in the alley. And then part two would be actually joining both of these properties together into one. The area in red would show what the finalized property lines would be after the lots are combined. With that, we do have Mr. Paul Andonian on the line this evening. He is representing the petitioner. And I don't know, Paul, if there's anything additional that you'd like to add this evening to your request.
I think you've done an excellent job in explaining it. We just want to thank the Planning Commission for their work with us on this and for the consideration of the matter.
Okay, then with that, Mr. Chairman, if there are no other questions from the Planning Commission at this time, a public hearing is required for the vacation request.
Any initial clarifications before we open up the public hearing? Anybody? Seeing none. Okay, this is a public hearing. I'd like to open up the public hearing at this time. Jeff, if you could read the process to connect in.
Yes. So for any public that is either listening or watching through our cable channel, you can dial 1-415-655-0001 to connect. Then when prompted, add the code 179-625-8198. So you can start that process now, calling in and then entering that code. Mr. Chairman, and to anyone who's listening, there is a little bit of a delay between this particular session that we're having right now in the cable version. There's about anywhere from 30 seconds to a minute. So, Mr. Chairman, if we can wait about a minute or so, we'll see if anyone calls in. So I'll follow up back with you shortly.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I'll just ask if there's anyone online right now who would like to make a public comment with regard to PSV 21-0001. You would have 3 minutes. And Mr. Chairman, it does not appear that we have anyone on the line this evening for public comment on this item.
Okay, the public hearing is now closed for this item. Open up to the commission for questions or comments.
To the chair, this is Commissioner Culpepper.
Yes.
Good. I think this makes perfect sense. As we talked about in our study session last meeting, since the petitioner does own both of those properties, and to have this vacated would just make it a little more cohesive to me, and it make the area much more satisfactory. So I'm in 100% accord with this, and thanks a lot for cleaning up that area, because now that barrier and stuff will be removed, and that will be a better sight optical from that area. So thank you very much.
I'm sorry, say that again.
Any other comments from the commission?
Say it
Yeah,
again.
Mr. Willis, it sounds like maybe you have Mr. Martin, but we cannot hear anything he's
I
saying.
do, and his phone is coming through very soft on my phone. Tony, could you try that again? I have the speaker up as loud as I can. Nope. Mr. Martin, can you hear me?
Just barely, sir.
And the phone is right next to the speaker, Tony.
Well, I'll just, never mind with my comment then. Thank you.
Hello, Mr. Griffiths,
Yes.
Chair. This is Commissioner Mia. I like to piggyback and agree with Commissioner Culpepper. Thank you so much for cleaning up the area. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Hearing no further comments, would be looking for the planner's recommendation at this time.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. With regard to PSV 21-0001, the Planning Department does recommend favorable consideration of the alley vacation request of Mark Perry on behalf of the owner, Armenian Apostolic Society, for a vacation of 40-foot wide Cardiff Place right-of-way adjacent to and north of Lot 557 and 20-foot wide public alley adjacent to and east of Lot 546 to 557, inclusive of Magnolia Number 1 subdivision, subject to the following conditions: retention of existing easements for maintenance of existing utility lines. Future use of the subject property, including the vacated alley, will be subject to the requirements, standards, and conditions of the zoning ordinance. Lot combination shall be applied for through the Southfield Assessing Department. Recommendation is made for the following reasons: the alley serves no useful purpose, as it has been developed on over the years. The city will retain easements for access for underground utilities, and the vacation of the alley will not have adverse effect on adjacent properties. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll be looking for a motion at this time.
Commissioner, I'm sorry, Chair. This
Yes.
is Commissioner Mia. I would like to make a motion upon favorable consideration, but I don't see the number to request it. Where is the number?
PSV 21-0001.
I would like to make a motion for after favorable consideration for PSV 21-0001.
This is Commissioner Culpepper. I support.
Okay, great. We've got a motion by Commissioner Mia, supported by Commissioner Culpepper. And once again, roll call vote, please.
Yes, sir. Hopefully we can hear Mr. Martin, but I'm calling your name first, Mr. Martin.
Yes.
All right, I did hear that, sir. Thank you. Miss Mia? Ms. Mia?
Hear me? I did say yes.
Okay,
Oh,
yeah, you were muted. Mr. Willis,
Yes.
Mr. Culpepper,
Yes.
Mr. Huntington,
Yes.
and Mr. Griffiths.
yes.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, you do have support for the vacation request PSV 21-0001 with favorable consideration.
Okay, thank you.
And if I may, Mr. Chairman, just to Paul, so Paul, you have received this evening your recommendation from the Planning Commission. I will follow up with you tomorrow on next steps with the with the council study meeting and then the council meeting in August. All right.
That's excellent. Thank you to all.
Thank you, Paul, and good luck.
Yes, thank you. Next we have PZTA 21-0004.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Bryce, Planner Bryce is going to be presenting the proposed text amendments this evening to you.
Good evening, everybody. Can everybody hear me?
We can.
Okay,
Yes.
good.
Yes.
Thank you all for your comments from the study meeting. So what we did is we reviewed the comments that everybody had. We met as a department. We went over everything. We made revisions, and then we did send that out to the commission yesterday. So I know I had a lot of information at our last meeting. For everyone's sake, I have condensed that quite a bit here for tonight. So just going through what we have proposed. So everything now is in order as it would appear in the zoning ordinance. So we do have the definitions up front. So these are the proposed brand new definitions that would be incorporated in the zoning ordinance. Dark store, data processing and computer center, a gym, health and fitness club, indoor recreation center, kennel, last mile delivery, logistics center, personal services, pet daycare, salon, and virtual restaurant. Next slide, please. So those were all the new definitions. Those are at the top of the zoning ordinance. And moving on, going down the zoning ordinance as they would appear, we are proposing amendments or new language for salon parking requirements, a parallel parking detail, a brand new section for architectural standards referring to durable materials, putting in indoor recreation centers as a special land use in single family, with them being permitted outright in RC and IL, revising personal services throughout the zoning ordinance, cleaning up religious assembly, that language consistency in a few sections, putting in health and fitness clubs in RS, RC, and B3, and revising the B3 drive-through special land use requirements to remove that 500 foot from residential restriction. Next slide. And then looking at kennels and pet daycare as a special land use in B3 and outright in IL and I1. Dark stores and ghost restaurants permitted in IL and I1. Data processing and computer centers in IL and I1. General office and medical office permitted outright in I1. Auto rental in I1 as a special land use on Telegraph only. And logistics centers permitted as a special land use in I1 for 8 Mile Road only. So again, we condensed everything, and that is the extremely simplified version. So I would be more than happy at this time to take any of your questions.
Mr. Bryce, this is Commissioner Rob Willis. I don't think I have a question, but what I am is I want to make a comment on the ordinance altogether. We have done a good deal of work on it. We covered so much of this in our study sessions. And I needed to say that, first of all, it's lengthy. Secondly, because of the language, it is tedious. I think it takes a good deal of work. And so now that I've said it that way, I want to absolutely commend you because I think it takes so much attention to detail to cover that kind of material. I think you're anticipating present and future use. There's some things here I'd never considered. And I think the way you organize things with definition allows a ordinance to give the same order, the same information to anyone that reads it. And so just with that overview, I think you've done an excellent job. I appreciate it. This is where the work is. And yeah, it's difficult and tedious to read, but you guys have really stood up. And so I want to say I appreciate it and kudos to you.
Thank you, sir.
To the chair, I'm sorry, go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, if I can just kind of piggyback on that. I've been with the planning department since 1991. And I completely agree with you, Mr. Willis, about the tediousness of the zoning ordinance and in some cases just the difficulty in reading it at times or the difficulty in just finding basic information. But you're right, we are working to remedy that. And our hope is to do a wholesale review and change of the zoning ordinance to make it more user friendly. I do believe that Planner Bryce has started to work on a matrix that actually will kind of give you a better visual of where the zoning districts are and what is permitted and what is prohibited, just to make things more user friendly. So again, I agree with you with your statement about the length and the tediousness of the zoning ordinance. But as you also stated, I mean, we're working hard to try and make it much more user friendly than what it has in the past.
Okay. Thank you.
To the chair, Commissioner Culpepper.
Yes.
Kind of Jeff, you kind of stole my thunder there, but good. Kyle, great job. Excellent job. You know, we know ordinances cover some and you have to go in detail, but I think you did an excellent job on presenting the definitions up front. Therefore, you know what the definition is of a kennel, of a dog store. So when you go into detail to find out about it, you already know what it says. So great job. I think you've taken the first step in trying to make these ordinances a little more, we'll say, resident friendly. You know, not all of us are rocket scientists or lawyers to be able to understand it, but this is the first step. And as Jeff said, it's been out there for years, but I commend you on taking on this tedious situation. And this first step makes it a lot easier. And as you can see from the last meeting we talked about, we were all over the place, but by you doing the definitions up front, then coming in with the section for each amendment is great. So I think this will be it's a work in progress, but I know at the end of it, it'll be a masterpiece. So thank you very much. Thank you, Chair.
The chair, this is Commissioner Martin.
Go ahead, Commissioner Martin.
I think it's a great job. However, I do have a couple of comments I'd like to suggest. For the kennel, the 2-week time frame for the overnight kennel, I don't think that's adequate. As an example, I go to Florida for 2 weeks each year, from Sunday to Saturdays week 1, and Sunday to Saturdays week 2. I leave Friday and drive to Florida, so I have Friday and Saturday that I have a dog in the kennel. I return on Sunday, so I have Monday and Tuesday to drive back. That's 18 days instead of 14. So that leaves me with 4 days where my dog is in limbo in a kennel that I can only stay for 2 weeks. And believe me, I had a chow chow, and it had to go to a kennel. It couldn't go to anybody's house. So I think the time frame for the kennel needs to be increased a little bit, just based on my example and experience. The other thing I have a question on is I assume that the air conditioning is including, it's filtration and circulation of the air. Is that correct?
Yes, that is the intent.
Okay. The other comment I have is for the indoor recreation center. It does not include lap or exercise pools, and because those can be precast and portable, and a unit that can be set, let's say like in the dome that you're going to put on 9 Mile, that might be a consideration to go into the text amendment. Other than that, I think everything is great.
Okay, thank you. I know for the indoor recreation center, you know, we definitely state including but not limited to. So something like that, even if it's not in the listed definition, if the city planner and the building official makes a determination that it meets the right criteria, you know, something like that, I think would. I do think we have that covered.
That's fine. I have no problem with that.
Yeah. Through the chair, Commissioner Huntington.
Yeah, go ahead, Commissioner Huntington.
Yeah, I too think you did. Kyle did a very good job. It's a very, difficult job because there's so many variables and there's a lot of different ways you can look at different things. But one thing I have learned on the commission is how important zoning really is. I mean, just as far as the simple purpose of protecting our health and safety and the general welfare of the people in the city, while at the same time protecting, the property values. So it is a very important mission to do. And as things change in the future, zoning has to change also. And I think we're doing a good job of trying to keep up with the changes. And we're definitely heading in the right direction. But I think Kyle did a good job. Nothing can be perfect when it comes to zoning. It's not going to satisfy everybody. But overall, I think it's a good job.
Thank you. Believe that's everybody. I'm happy with the changes as well. Looking for planner's recommendation on text amendments.
Well, actually, sir, you need to have your public hearing first.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, through the chair, I'm looking through. It looks like I did not put in a slide for the public hearing, but this does require one.
I see that now. Okay, this is a public hearing. I'd like to open up the public hearing section at this time.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman. So as was previously noted, if you do have a comment with regard to the proposed text amendments, PZTA 21-0004, you can call 1-415-655-0001 with the access code 179-625-8198. So again, to the public, there is a little bit of a delay between the live planning commission meeting and what's shown on cable. So we will wait another minute or so, see if we have anyone who gets online who has any comments. But again, with regard to the call-in number, it's 1-415-655-0001 with the access code 179-625-8198. And actually what I'll do, sir, is I'll go back to the public comment here. So at least we'll have the two numbers up available, even though it's the previous project. And I'll be back with you in a minute or so.
Thank you.
So again, to any public who's watching through our cable channel, this public hearing is for the proposed zoning text amendment PZTA 21-0004. Okay, if I may, is there anyone who is currently online who would like to make a comment on PZTA 21-004, the proposed text amendment? You'd have 3 minutes. You need to state your name and address for the record. And Mr. Chairman, it does not appear that we have any public comment for the proposed text amendment.
Okay, public hearing is now closed for PZTA 21-0004. Now can we have the planner's recommendation?
Yes, you can, sir. So with regard to PZTA 21-0004, the Planning Department does make a favorable recommendation for the draft dated 7/27/21 for the following reasons. Proposed text amendment will amend Title 5 Zoning and Planning, Chapter 45 Zoning of the Code of the City of Southfield by adding definitions, including but not limited to indoor recreation centers, dark stores, and ghost restaurants, personal services, and health fitness clubs, automobile and truck rental, dog kennels, and pet daycare. Also amending parking standards for open concept hair and nail salons and salon suites, removing distance requirements and amending wall requirements for certain restaurants, allowing data centers in IL light industrial and I-1 industrial zones, allowing religious facilities as places of assembly, allowing medical and general office uses as permitted uses in I-1 industrial zones, and other amendments that may become necessary as needed for the above and in the city of Southfield. This text amendment specifically addresses adding definitions. It basically, sir, that kind of goes through everything that I already said. So again, the Planning Department recommendation is favorable for PZTA 21-0004 for the reasons shown on the screen.
Thank you. Any additional questions or comments from the commission? Hearing none, we'll be looking for a motion.
This is Commissioner Rob Willis.
Yes.
I move for favorable approval of PZTA 21-0004.
This is Commissioner Mia. I'd like to second that motion.
Second that motion.
Thank you. We've got a favorable motion by Commissioner Willis, seconded by Commissioner Mia. And can we have a roll call vote, please?
Yes, sir. Ms. Mia?
Yes?
Ms. Mia? I'm sorry, did you say yes, ma'am?
Yes, I did. I'm sorry.
Okay,
Yes.
got it. Mr.
Okay.
Willis?
Support.
Mr. Culpepper?
Yes.
Mr. Huntington? Mr. Huntington?
Support.
Mr. Martin?
Support.
And Mr. Griffiths?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, you do have a favorable recommendation for PZTA 21-0004.
Thank you. Next item was site plans. I don't believe we have any today. And after that, approval of the minutes for May 12th and May 26th of 2021.
To the chair.
Through the chair.
Mr. Martin.
Yeah, go ahead, Commissioner Martin.
I'd like to recommend favorable approval for the 2 sets of minutes in question.
Commissioner Culpepper, support.
Okay, got a motion for favorable approval by Commissioner Martin, supported by Commissioner Culpepper. And roll call vote, please.
Mr. Willis?
Support.
Mr. Culpepper?
Yes.
Mr. Huntington?
Support.
Mr. Martin?
Support.
Ms. Mia?
Support.
And Mr. Griffiths?
Yes.
All right, Mr. Chairman, you have approval of May 12th study meeting and May 26th regular meeting.
Thank you. Next, we have a public comment opportunity.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. To the public, again, anyone who is currently watching or listening to the Planning Commission meeting, this is a portion of the meeting that does give you an opportunity for public comment. You would have 3 minutes in which to make your comment. We do ask that you provide us both with your name and your address for the record. As I noted earlier with the public hearings, there's a little bit of a delay between the live Planning Commission meeting and what's shown on cable. So we can give you a minute or so to call in. But again, once you're recognized, we do ask that you provide us with your name and your address for the record. So with that, Mr. Chairman, we'll give this a minute or so and see if anyone calls in for public comment. So I'll just ask the question, do we have anyone online for public comment this evening? And Mr. Chairman, it appears that we don't have anyone for public comment tonight.
Okay, the public comment portion is now closed. Next item would be miscellaneous.
Yeah, from the planning department, just do want to note that we do have 2 items scheduled for your August agenda. The first one being the item that was postponed earlier in this meeting for the use of the old McVee's restaurant on Telegraph Road. The second item has to do with the property directly across the street from City Hall here, called the Ever Center property. It is the vacant parcel that is on the northwest corner of Civic Center Drive and Evergreen Road. We did have a petitioner come in for mixed-use development with an overlay development district on that property. So staff has done their review on it, and we will be bringing that to your August 11th study meeting for review, and hopefully be able to act on that on August 25th on your regular meeting. So with that, at least personally, I have no other items, again, except to say that we don't see a reason for your August 4th meeting, your first study meeting, and we'd like to bring those 2 items to you on the 11th.
All right, sounds great.
Sounds good to me.
All right, any other comments from the commission?
I have none.
I have none. Just welcome back, Commissioner Mia. Glad you're well. And
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. It's good to be back. I tried to get back last time, but
And
I've
it is
been
good.
having a hard time.
It is
I don't
good
know
hearing
why
your
I
voice.
couldn't hear anything.
To the chair,
But thank you so
Mark.
much. It's been a long road to recovery. Believe me, it was rough. I never knew I would be going through this, but we never know what life has for us.
Heard Commissioner Martin trying to get in, I think.
Yes, I'd like to tell the commission, I think it was great the news they had on last night about Northland and the development of it. I know we went over that several times, and I think the public will finally see some of the activities that we participate and take lead in.
Yes, definitely. Great. Well, hearing no other comments, see all of you back on August 11th.